Hi everyone, my name is Celso Batalha and I will be teaching the Astronomy 10 online course over the summer. And I would like to give you a little tour over the basic assessments this course will have. Of course, at any time, email me and we can go through that. But the first one, let me show you a link to the syllabus. So the syllabus is available and I'm not going to go over that. You can pretty much read it. But one of the assessments we have is a bunch of homework, and each chapter book has a homework associated with it. So in the syllabus, you can find the homework, you can find a link to it, and then you can start working on it. So if you want it. So usually homeworks come with 10 questions. Every time you submit a question, you can submit it again, and I will pick up the highest score in these homeworks. But homeworks is basically 5% of your course grade. So it's not a lot, but it gives you the flavor of what that chapter is all about. So, but basically, let me go to another assessment besides homework, and that is given right here. So in fact, the course is divided in modules, and each module, in fact, I try to mimic one chapter book of our Adopt book, which is Understanding Our Universe, second edition. But each chapter is listed and probably covered in a couple of days. But in the first module of our webpage, I have several interesting links. So feel free to explore if you have the time. But in the first block, you have one of the major assessments, which is a moon observation. So moon observation altogether is 15% of your course grade. You are going to observe the moon 4 times, so twice in the first night or first day, and then observe again in the next day, and then again 1 week later. So you have to observe the moon on a time period of 7 days. And I will, in our first chat room, which is going to be June 20th, I will explain that. And I will explain again in every single chat room that I have, because 5% of those 15% points in the moon observations will be taken out of your interaction with me. I need to ensure that you know what you're doing and you're not just going to copy here and there observations. But basically, that's it. So you need to allocate basically 1 hour first time, and the other time is going to be less than 50 minutes. But you have to allocate and be careful when you drive your first observation. And the main point of this assessment is to find out what are the main type of motions the moon go through and allow us to see the moon the way we see and perceive. So it's an interesting observation. You don't need binoculars or telescopes or anything. You just need to position yourself in the proper time. So let's go back to our home page. Now here's where the course starts. Chapter 1, I always have class notes, and these class notes are a series of PowerPoints that covers the subject taught at that particular chapter, and those PowerPoints are provided by the publisher, so I didn't do them. So it's good for the students, especially those that do not have the book we adopt, so you know exactly what the chapter is covering. So if you have a book, if you have time to go online and check out information, you can just use these PowerPoints as your resource guide. But basically, the book makes life much easier, no question about it. I also have flashcards, and these flashcards highlight important keywords of that chapter and also gives explanation of each one. Just show you briefly. So astronomy, what is astronomy? You can flip and then you have the answers right there. Okay. And I have Nebraska Simulations. It's a very nice, cool web page. You have several simulations that we are going to use in our course, and it helps to give you a better, solid foundation on the subjects that are covered. And why not our graded homework? See, the homework you can see, you can link through the syllabus, but you also have it listed here. So if you click this link, it's going to take you to the homework. And I have this test your knowledge. So test your knowledge is also a bunch of multiple choice questions, but they are not graded, and they are not the same questions that I have for homework. So those questions have been accumulating for years, and now I'm using them just to allow students to practice themselves. I mean, usually the report I have from students is they like it. And when I mean students in general, those who are trying to work hard towards an A grade or something. So those are the assessments. No, assessments like homework and like midterm go down here. So I have a midterm right there. The midterm right now is not open, so you can't see it, but is already available not only for regular students, but also if a student is part of the disabled support program, then I can work out extra time and things like that through Canvas. But so essentially we have 3 midterms. So midterm number 1 is going to be in July 1st, midterm number 2 is going to be in July 12th, midterm number 3 is going to be in July 22nd. So there are 3 midterms and a final exam. I do have a makeup exam, and this makeup exam is available for the students who, for some reason, they missed one of these midterms. In fact, I open to all students. So if all of you want to take it, feel welcome to do. It's not going to affect your grade, only affect positively. If your midterm grade is lower than the makeup grade, I swap that one. So it's a good thing, especially towards the end, you're trying to find ways to improve your grade. So 3 midterms, each midterm 20% of your course grade, so we have 60%. The final exam, which is face-to-face. Final exam is the last day of class, July 28th, at 10 in the morning, in the room AD 143, Apple, Betty 143. And this final exam is face-to-face. You have to be there, and you have to bring a valid identification. And it's not online. You can bring 1 page of notes, not 2 pages, not 1 sheet, front and back, just 1 page, the front part. You cannot write questions and answers. And basically, the final exam is going to be based, if you go to the first useful links, there are information on where you should go to study for your final exam. So it's right there. So you select, for instance, one of the chapters, and you have quizzes that you can play around and choose either 5 questions or 25 questions, and then you can test yourself. You can use this, in fact, as a study guide for your final exam. The questions will be either the same but with variants. I will use them as an inspiration guide for me. So again, so midterms and final, 80% of your course grade, and the remaining 20% comes from moon observation, 15%, and 5% from homework. So basically, I think that's it. That's what I would like to let you know. Those are the important issues that I have to tell you. Um, due dates. The due dates of homework um, is usually the next day after a chapter is completed. For instance, for homework number 2, which is based on chapter 2, the homework due date is midnight on June 24th. So once I close, I close. I will only open homework um, in the last week of class. So in fact, the last weekend I will open. So it's a way to revise your brain cells and get your brain cells revising the subject. Is a nice thing to do. So I will open them, and then you can improve your homework grade. But it is 5%. What I will not reopen are extra credits. So I have several extra credits, and yes, I recommend you to do it. And no, they are not mandatory. So you can do these extra credits if you want it, but I do recommend because usually, even in online course, the grades are not that high. The grades are kind of a 70% is a C grade. So if you want to work towards a B, towards an A, please work on your homework. I'm sorry, on your extra credits. They are important. They are based on the subject taught at that particular chapter, and it helps you to kind of be familiar and comfortable with the subject. And I guess that's all I need to tell you. Um, yeah, I guess that's it. The due dates are always after, but except the first due date. The first due date, because the first week of class, which started on June 20th, it's kind of confusing. The students are trying to get to know what Canvas is, and some students they enroll in online class, but they don't have a computer yet. It's kind of a confusing, unbelievable. And then what I do, all the due dates on the first week of class, I'm pushing them to June 27. See that? So June 27. I go to the next chapter, June 27, June 27. So the first due date where lots of activities will be closing is on June 27. Okay. So then when we hit chapter 3, now it's going to be changed. See that? June 28, June 28, and then they keep closing at different dates. Good enough. So email me if you have any question. I will be more than happy to talk to you about it. We have chat rooms. Every time we initiate a chapter, we have a chat room at the night of that day. For instance, June 20th, which is Monday, we have a chat room in the evening at 8 o'clock. And then we have a chat room on June 27th at 8 o'clock. And we're going to be focusing on chapter 2, and so on, so on, so on. So June 24, we have a chat room at cccconfort.org. Information is in the syllabus. So June 24 at 8 o'clock. Then we have a chat room on chapter 3. And pretty much that's it. Glad you sign up for the class. I'm excited to teach it, and let's go for it.